What is up, comic fans? Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Even better, happy Flash trailer Sunday, because that just outshined that entire game. I'm big excited to break down and talk about the trailer and review some comics from this week. I am absolutely pumped. Before we dive into any of that, check this out. That moment right there.
Wow.
God. What is going on, Paul? Welcome. Update. Chris is watching the game and Ryan is still new babying stuff, but everything is still great on the Ryan front. Just want to keep everybody posted on that. And let's do a quick hello to the chat real quick. Got a couple of people in here. I'm not expecting a big turnout tonight with the game on and stuff, but hello to Las Crucias 1971. Hello to TM Nerdy from Canada. Hello to Dr. Von Hoot. I got an idea. Let me do this. This would be a fun idea. You good? You good, little girl? And that is done. Hold on. And shout out to the channel sponsor, Big Time Collectibles. Be sure to check them out at bigtimecollectibles.com, as well as on their social media and all that good stuff. Let me throw that little graphic up, how to do that little thing real quick. And there's that. Yeah, check them out. They sponsor the channel. They sponsor the giveaway for the channel members, drawn the first Sunday of every month. I've got a fun box I'm putting together. I'll share it out this week, what will be included for the channel members this coming week. And if you need anything cleaned or pressed, hit up our good friend Justin's Comics over on Instagram. He can take care of you for as little as $10 a book. Let him know you found him via the channel and take advantage of that buy two, get one free special. And that's that. Let's go back to the chat real quick. I've seen some more people coming in. Hello to TM. Hello to Dr. Von Hoot from the Spiral Dimension. How's it going over there? Hello to Beckerman. Show some damn respect, Mark. It's Super Bowl and the Chiefs are playing, but I thought they were losing.
They are actually. Yeah.
What's the score?
I believe it's 24-14, I believe, at the half.
At the half? That's not too bad. All I can say is go Birds. I'm not a football fan. I want all my friends' favorite team to win, but I'm a huge It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia fan. And if I don't really care if they win or not, but go Birds. It's a little Always Sunny joke. Boo from Rob's Fast Stacks of Comics. Greetings, Pops Attic. Greetings, Legionnaires. Digger Jim is in the building. Football, what, soccer? I think so. Same thing. TM, check your DMs. Paul Rogers, hello from the home of the Legion. Yes, how are you doing? Always excited to see you in the chat. I hit the LCS on different days of the week now. I always go on Tuesday. I'm not going to wait on my DC books, obviously, but I bounce between Wednesday and Thursday hitting the shop, trying to catch Paul in there. I miss seeing him on the regular. I just called you. You know what for? Holy shit, indeed. Absolutely, Bart. Absolutely. I'm sorry I missed your call. I was trying to get the kids settled down and trying to get all this stuff for the stream ready. I had to do a little bit of last minute work to get some stuff in here for us to actually look at, to discuss and talk about, because we're about to dive in deep on this trailer. We're about to go real deep. Real deep. Remember when you said you were on the bubble? Oh, yeah. Again, I said I hope all my friends' teams win. The Go Birds thing is just a reference to It's Always Sunny. I bleed green.
You got to check the next thing that he wrote.
Oh, there's more? The bubble just burst. Hello, Kenneth Bird. How are you doing tonight? Kenneth, make sure you check out the new trailer for The Flash. So, yeah, I would just watch the whole trailer, but we're not going to do that. I feel like people have watched it by now, and I've got a bunch of images. You want to dive into the trailer first? I would love to just talk about it. So, I double loaded them in here. So let me scroll down to the bottom. So I did put in a lot of images from the trailer in here. And dude, it was wild. It was exactly what we expected, but they just gave us a lot of action scenes as well. I do feel like they know that they have to sell this movie to people. Mm-hmm. You know, people have that bad taste in their mouth with all the shakeups at DC. Do these movies actually matter, knowing that there's a reboot style thing coming? Ezra in the public's eye and all that stuff. I'll tell you right now, I feel like all these movies matter. all the movies from this slate for this year, they matter. And that's pretty much been confirmed by James Gunn, pointing out that the events of the Flash movie will be what sets off the reboot. It's not like an outside of storyline reboot. You know, the actual reboot that we will experience as viewers and fans will be an event that occurs to these characters in these films, in this universe. Just like in the comics, you know, when they had a flashpoint in the comics, it's one linear story being told, and this event just changed the way the world looked afterwards.
Correct. Right. It wasn't like the Ultimate Universe as a comparison, where the Ultimate Universe was a whole different universe, started on its own, had nothing to do with the main universe in Marvel. The Flashpoint was part of the overall 80, 90 plus year history of DC.
Its main continuity.
Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you what, man, I am big. I mean, big excited about this. You know, one of the criticisms that I had or concerns that I had early on when we saw like just what we had seen from that Fandom 2021 clip. That's how long it's been since we've had legit clips of this. So this has been something that has been being worked on for a long time. This movie was first announced in 2015. Here we are, 8 years later. 8 years later. Here we go.
And it has changed as well because they were doing some reshoots as of December of this year. They were doing some reshoots.
Hello.
Welcome. I figure we're going to be doing just a lot of Flash trailer talk tonight. I figured TM's got to be down for this as well. Let's see if I'm trying to clean up this little production side on my end over here. We've got a lot of stuff over here. I'm trying to get it under grips. So yeah, the movies do matter this year. That's confirmed by James Gunn. This is the movie that matters probably most of all. Obviously matters most of all. This will be the big event that kicks off. Most people have to be familiar with the Flashpoint story in comics. Long story short, Barry uses his ability to access hypertime, and he goes back in time to the time of his mother's death and tries to alter it where she doesn't die. It's that simple. You know, and everyone's seen Back to the Future. When you mess with the past, it affects the future and the present. And that's what this is. And if you watch the Flash television show on the CW, you can see where they've dove into this as well in their own version.
And they also did the animated movie as well, Flash. They did a little story of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Tia, what was your initial thoughts from the trailer?
My initial thoughts, I absolutely loved it. I wasn't sure if Zod was going to show up, so I was happy to see Zod in that. I'm curious though of like this is going to be the way they're going to set it up and stuff, because like even though he's gone back and changed the timeline and now everything's different, he can't go back and re-change it. It's going to be that's what's going to pinpoint us into the direction of what the DCU is going to be in the future. And I'm curious if that's going to be the Supergirl that we're going to get in Woman of Tomorrow, because I kind of do like the look of her. Not going to lie.
I think she looks tough as hell. And I think we spoke about this during the week or two ago when we broke down the James Gunn announcements. The Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow adaptation that they announced toward the back end of their Gods and Monsters slate, at least of what they've announced. He said this is not all, but that's on the back end of an 8 to 10 year plan. So I really think the popularity of Sasha Cale's outing, as well as what could go on between now and then, will dictate if this is the Supergirl we'll see then.
Yeah, and I also think that if you read the story, the comic book, actually that Kara if it's the same thing, so that Kal-El exists in the Flashpoint, exists in the timeline when he goes back. Okay, so we have it's Subject 1 in the comic book, but we also have Thomas Wayne as Batman, Martha Wayne as the Joker. We have the Amazons and Atlantis fighting each other. So all of those things are in the past when Barry goes back. It's not until he runs back forward that we get the new 52. So you can actually have a different actor play Kara in the movies going forward.
Yeah, it really won't affect anything. Who casting wise, they have open reign on it.
Right.
My concern is that Ezra is a crap actor, which I think the trailer telegraphed. I didn't see any issues with him. I'm one of the few people pre-scandal, that I thought he was kind of campy in the Joss Whedon version of Justice League. But when they did the Snyder cut, I thought that he was toned down a lot in it, and that it kind of worked a lot better. It was also the way that people interacted with him. Like he would cut a joke and Cyborg would be like, "Not now, dude." And he'd be like, "Sorry." And really, that final scene in the Snyder cut, when he just puts his hands up, enters the hyper time, and does this, like, dude, this is straight. Like, you lean into this Flash, and it's important to point out everything we've seen of the writing of Barry is like pre-Flash Barry. He didn't even have a name. He didn't even call himself the Flash. He didn't have a proper suit. He wasn't a superhero. He's immature. He's young, and all this stuff. So we're really going to get to the writers of this film have a true opportunity to really grow that character between films and give us a different version of Barry in this one.
It did seem like the one that was like the one from the Snyder cut and all that seemed a little bit more mature and a little bit more grown up and a little bit more serious in this one. And then the other Barry that he runs into with the long hair and that is the comic, the comedian one. The kind of it feels like a younger version like that we've known from the Snyderverse, but the one that we know now, he seems a lot more grown up, a lot more mature. And that really shows in the trailer.
And the other thing because they were talking about when the two Barrys are together and there's that lightning that comes, I'm assuming that is because we see the young Barry when his mother was supposedly killed. But I'm assuming that this is the lightning that turns that Barry into the Flash. And if you recall in some of the continuity that they did, there is it's almost now like a complete circle where Barry actually is the lightning that creates himself. So that's why the lightning comes. I'm thinking that's why the lightning comes through the Ezra that we know and goes into the Ezra that's the new one in the movie. Just a guess, but
yeah, we saw that scene with his arms up,
right.
And there was also that telling scene as well of the Batwing up in the air with the cable running down and the lightning bolt running to it. But before we dive too far into the trailer details, I do want to say hello to someone who popped in the chat here. And let me post this in the chat as well. We've got the Topic Network has entered the stream. That Mario trailer was so damn wholesome. Favorite of the bunch. Also, shout out to Mark. Shroom Gang. Woo woo. So last weekend, I think it was, I was Comic Man Andy shared where he was on a podcast for The Last of Us, and it was on the Topic Network channel. They host numerous podcasts for all kinds of things in pop culture. And I had the opportunity and the privilege to hop on there the last few minutes with him and hang out with him. It was an absolute blast with him. So everybody, please hit that link that I put in the chat down there and give them a subscribe. That would be awesome. I'd appreciate it. What the F, dudes? What is the deal with Rihanna? I have no clue. We'll get to that in another stream, I guess. What is going on, Comics by the Bay? She's pregnant, CJ. What is your condition? Have y'all seen the other guys with Will Ferrell? Where he looks at Ava Mendez at one point and says, "What is your condition?" About her being pregnant. He calls it a condition. It was pretty funny. But yeah, so one of my concerns with the early footage that we saw was Barry's outfit helmet. We knew it wasn't done. We knew there would have to be a significant amount done in post, but it looked real blocky. And having seen the images in this trailer, what's looking like some refined product, dude looks dope. Looks super good. Like seeing him in motion and everything, seeing him moving. I think I'm one of the few people that like the design they went with in the Snyder cut and in the original stuff we saw him in, even the clip in Suicide Squad with like the plates on top of the stuff and his helmet with like that slight curve to the back. I like that. But I'm not like married to it, but I thought it looked cool. But this design with a sleek suit with the texture to it and everything, it just looks amazing.
Which was debuted in the Flash comic, the prequel comic.
Great point. So there is 3-issue prequel comic that bridges the gap between the Snyder cut and this movie. And in there, like in the trailer, we saw him open the Flash ring. You see him get that in the prequel comic. The new suit, you see him training on how to actually hit people without breaking himself or run through walls, all this stuff. The stuff that you see him like having problems with in the previous films, you see him get that character development. So we're going to see a way more experienced Flash in this. Next big thing, obviously in the trailer, we see him go back in time, talk about why he wants to. He wants to live in a world where his mom still exists. And we get some awesome dialogue from Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck, who, spoiler alert, is rocking the blue and gray with the yellow belt by the end of this movie. First time since Adam West, we've seen Batman rocking the proper Batman outfit. This has me super hyped. I think the all black suit is like makes sense on screen and stuff. But dude, this is perfect looking to me.
Yeah, you know, for a man whose only superpowers is he's rich, he's doing pretty well.
Pretty well, and that was a comment that they made in the trailer too. He said, "I've messed up the universe," because you see him like cut to General Zod and stuff, and then he said, he said he's created a universe where there are no metas and there's no one to save us. And about that time, you hear someone say, "You want some help?" And it was a very familiar voice from all of our younger years. And it was none other than the man himself, Michael Keaton, comes rolling up. We get a far shot of the Batcave, looking nostalgic. He walks up and they start stumbling over the word "you're," and he goes, "Yeah, I'm Batman." And I lost it. I absolutely lost it.
You were like you were like the Ezra Miller in the back.
Yeah, the one that fainted.
Yeah, it was nuts. And one thing I thought was amazing was right after that, they kind of give us a taste of what Batman in action is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very reminiscent, kind of like of the warehouse fight, like when we're seeing Ben Affleck Batman actually move and fight and like hit like an actual superhero versus the very grounded, realistic, you just punch a guy kind of stuff we've seen in the previous films. But you see Keaton fly off of some rafters, swoop down, throw people, fly up in the air, come back down. He's moving fast. He's using his gadgets. It was nuts to see him. It was our Yoda moment, like back in episode 2 when we saw Yoda for the first time let loose what he can actually do. We just saw Michael Keaton for the first time let loose.
I love that picture that you put up too, because that goes back to the old movie when he opened up his arms. Like, I love that.
Yeah. It just looks amazing. Then it moves forward and we see that Zod is a big deal. And obviously all the fight scenes, I'm remind everyone, all those fight scenes with the World Engine from Man of Steel, with Zod, with the Kryptonians, that is all in the middle of the movie at best. None of that is the finale stuff. It is confirmed that the Dark Flash is in this. We've seen the toys for it. They didn't even touch on that in the trailer. All of that fighting, all that insane spectacle we saw is done in the first half of the movie at least. This crazy thing right here with a Kryptonian ship above them, middle of the movie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can see, that's both Flashes. The one on the left that's rocking the blue lightning is the Barry in this world, the younger Barry that's using the refurbished Bat costume, which we do see in the TV spot that they showed a lot of Bat suits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't see the Dark Flash in here. Was there any like inkling of the Dark Flash at all?
So I slow-mo dissected this trailer already, and I did not see him at all. The closest thing I got is this figure in the middle right here, who I'm assuming is one of the Kryptonians, and that's just their Kryptonian suit around him. And the Flash that's coming in is young Barry. You can see the cut-off bat ears on the costume, the blue lightning on him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking with the lightning stuff, they're kind of just doing like a as he refined his speed or whatever, as he got better with his abilities, he went yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Because our Barry is going full yellow.
And what wasn't there supposed to be 3 Barry Allens in this?
Yeah, counting the Dark Flash, I believe.
Okay. I thought there was 3 and the Dark Flash.
Oh, I'm not sure. But those aren't all of our characters. Also, the Batwing makes some stunning appearances in this. We see it hovering in the sky, flying through explosions. Just looks fantastic. And about that time in the trailer is when we first get to see Sasha Cale's Supergirl go beast mode. We see her shooting the heat vision. We see her slugging Zod. We even later in the trailer get a moment where we see her pretty much release her from the Subject 1 containment. Which, if y'all aren't familiar with that, it's straight from the comic books, Flashpoint. It was actually Kal-El crash landed and didn't get the opportunity to get discovered by a kind family before he was picked up by the government. And he was tucked away. So we get to see her breaking out of that place. It looks like it's going to be in Russia because the outfit she's wearing has CAMA backwards R written on it. So I'm assuming it'll be taking place in Russia. At first, I thought it said Cadmus, which would have been dope.
Oh, yeah.
But we get some cool shots of her. And there's a closer look at the actual writing on her outfit. But you can see the straps on it as well, like straight jacket kind of stuff. That's a weird looking Supergirl. Yeah, she looks fantastic when you see her in the full get up, especially.
Yeah, she definitely does. There you go.
Love that suit. Yeah, different looking suit, but it works.
Yeah, it's got the Man of Steel style to it. Like you can see the off-white blue down the side and the texture going over the hips where the rib cage are is the same stuff that Henry Cavill had on his suit. Same S as Henry Cavill.
The S looked like the same thing too, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And to the comic vet's point that he mentioned earlier, as far as like the red over the shoulders, that is reminiscent of John Kent in the comic books as well. So you can see where they've pulled a lot of like inspiration from different things for it.
I think she looks badass.
I do too. That scene was awesome. The Barry looks at Batman. What do we do? Try not to die. Then you just loses his hand and Supergirl takes off. I'm like, what?
So that whole time was it just Keaton in the bat suit? Because I don't think we got any clips with Ben Affleck in the bat suit.
Yeah, we got numerous clips of Ben Affleck riding the motorcycle. That was all.
Oh,
Ben
right.
Riding the motorcycle, as well as that scene where he's sliding up the street, getting drugged by something. That's Ben Affleck.
Okay, that's not Keaton. Okay.
No.
Mm-mm. God, that just looks amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super, super excited for this one. CJ said she looks like a boy in that scene.
You know what she kind of reminded me of? It was Ruby Rose from Batwoman, the TV show. She kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
I think that's a tall order.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then back to like as far as what this will do, no telling what this movie will do. Who knows? I mean, people are going to have to see that trailer. I think DC knows that they're going to have to sell people on this movie, on their brand still. They know they got something here though. They could have tanked this movie and cashed out and got the money and ran for it. They chose to invest heavier into it. Mm-hmm. Test screens through the roof. David Zaslav on like week 1 of taking over the position said he watched all 4 of these movies that were out this year. He said Shazam's good, Black Adam's okay, it needs more work. Aquaman 2's not there in production to really make the call, but Flash is amazing. He said that like, God, it's almost been like a year now, right? It's getting close to a year since he stepped in.
Right.
And then we all know that the test screenings were through the roof. The test screenings that they've done over the past 6 months have all been through the roof. Keep in mind, those test screenings were done like the same week Ezra was making headlines initially for charges. And those people who go to test screenings are aware of what's happening with these actors and actresses, probably more than most. You know, that's obviously their shtick. And they were loving it, so.
Yeah, and like the first 15 minutes on Instagram, like DC dropped the trailer on Instagram. The first 15 minutes, it had like 28,000 likes and like so many. I think it was 836 comments. And I was going through the comments, and not one bad thing was said about the trailer. So,
Right.
God, I told Pops to call me when he watches it. The on DC's YouTube, it's got 33,000 views on Emergency Awesome. There's 16,000 on IGN Movie Trailers, 5.4 thousand, but on Warner Brothers proper, 766,000. On Warner Brothers Picture, 100,000. On Warner Brothers UK and Ireland, 94,000. So there's numerous trailers out there with this. People are curious. They want to know. They want to know. Is it being marketed as Dark Flash? I believe that's what it was called, right? Dark Flash?
I think it's just called the Flash.
No, the toys. The
toys,
revealed the bad guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it is being
They named him on the Funko Pop stuff already.
Yeah.
They do need to market the shit out of it. It's gotten a TV spot during the Super Bowl with just a few brief scenes, very brief. Like you see Barry like duck down and get ready to run, and it focuses on his emblem lighting up. Mm-hmm. I think that's a great feature to actually get to see, like the Speed Force charging around him and everything. It just looks fantastic.
Yeah, the Super Bowl team also showed the room that had multiple Michael Keaton Batman suits as opposed to the overall trailer that was on YouTube.
Yeah, so they know that they have to sell people on this. You know, James Gunn did that coming out that interview and said that this is probably one of the greatest superhero movies he's ever seen. And after that trailer, I have a hard time doubting it, which I didn't to begin with. It just seems like there's something to it. Can't wait. I'm going to be taking off work that Thursday. The wife said we should see it twice that day. We should go see it as early as we can and then take the kids to go see it a second time. So Heroes Con is that weekend as well. I'm almost for certain that by the time I show up to Heroes Con on the day that this movie releases, I'll have already seen it twice.
And you'll be telling everybody to go see it.
No, I'm just going to be giving them spoilers. That's what you get for not planning ahead.
Yeah, this is one of the movies that I'm going to go see this year in theaters. So it made the list.
Yeah, this is definitely worth the watch. So TM, Beast Wars trailer. I haven't watched that one yet.
Hopefully we get a better one. Like, I think we're getting a better one than that, because that was like a 30-second one for just introducing Mirage, the Porsche.
So yeah, that's called a TV spot.
Yeah, that was it. That's all we got, and it was all right. Like, we got to hear what's his name be the voice of him now. Pete Davidson is the voice of Mirage, so we got to hear him actually as the robot in this scene. But that was about it. We got a little bit of Mirage and 30-second clip of his voice and stuff, so it sounded pretty good, and we got a little understanding of who we're going to get as a character. But I'm hoping they show a little bit more of the Maximals in the bigger trailer.
Now, we did get a legit first full trailer for that a few weeks or about a month or so back too. Like, where this is our first like real Flash trailer. Like, we had a teaser, but we've already had a Transformer trailer where I'm going on a Thursday to see that too. I'm a huge Michael Bay Transformers fan. I don't really get into the cartoons or the comics like you guys, but I love the franchise. So I'm definitely going to be there. Jesus Christ, CJ. I can't get past you. Liking this, commenting, and going back to the game. Have a great show. Go Birds. Transformer trailer was mad. Yeah, it was just a TV spot. They do those once you have your full trailer, and it's a lot cheaper to run TV spots and at the end say, watch the full trailer online. That's what they did with the Flash one. What other trailers dropped? We had a brand new Guardians of the
Galaxy 3, yep.
Yeah, I watched that one just one time. I don't think I even caught the very end of it yet, though. I've just been too overblown by that Flash show. Did y'all watch it?
I did.
I did notice we get a little context to the High Evolutionary. He's pretty much confirmed that he's the one that we get his intention. You know, his sole purpose is to create a universe with perfect people in it or something. Sound a lot like eugenics to me, but it looks like he's the one that experimented and made Rocket Raccoon what he is. Marcus talking the bird side over me. Yeah. What did y'all think of the Guardians trailer?
I thought it basically, I think it fully encapsulated what I think has people have loved about the Guardians of the Galaxy overall. There was a lot of humor thrown in there, but there was, there's still there's still Star Lord has his Khan moment where he screams no, you know. So we don't know. We assume somebody dies, but then they flash to all of the Guardians coming forward, and basically it looks like Star Lord is in somebody's arms, like he's the one who's dead. Um, so you don't really know what's going on there, but we get some more. We get longer looks at Adam Warlock, which was I thought was pretty
Oh
cool.
yeah. I saw that with him like flying
Yeah.
through that area. He looked awesome.
Hmm.
And badass fight between him and Drax.
Yep.
And that like he was kicking the crap out of him.
I think that had to be toward the end of the trailer. I don't think I caught that part. Guardian confirmed. I still want to watch it now more than that. Yeah, I'm big excited for Guardians. I'm like I was excited for Ant-Man, and I still am, but I don't know. Like that first trailer had me hyped, and when I saw it in 3D, it has me hyped. And now I'm just like, oh man, I got a plan to go see it. And I think it's at that point where the rubber meets the road, and I'm like, my hype's down a little bit for it, but I'm still excited for that one too. But that Guardians, that first trailer sold me big time. Like the soundtrack and everything to it, just watching how much like emotion was put into it, knowing it's the final outing. It's kind of on.
Well, this trailer too, it goes to show you like how much faith I have in James Gunn for like being a director and a writer in that because you get heart, you get action, you get comedy, and it feels like it flows through the movie and stuff. I'm not sure if you've seen the end with Gamora, Nebula, and Star-Lord all in that elevator and talking about how he loves her and stuff. That had me cracking up, and that has me hoping that Star-Lord survives this. Just for that, but out of this trailer, we know that it's hard to tell, but it looks like Drax is definitely going to die from this trailer.
Oh, I hope not, but we know someone's going to die. I think a few of them are. I'm here, done watching the Super Bowl. Did you not enjoy it?
It's not over yet, so I don't know.
I think he was getting excited about how fair the referees were calling the game. I was mentioned that somewhere. What else was a big one? I saw where something called Air. I saw people commenting in the chat where a movie called Air.
Oh, I did see that trailer, not tonight, but I did see it, and it's directed. It's based on a true story about Nike and how they were like basing their whole like company on this one guy who's just a rookie and never even set foot onto the basketball floor yet. And they're going to make a shoe line just based around that one player. It's directed by Ben Affleck, and it has Matt Damon in it and a few other great stars.
They touch on the sweatshops.
Oh, I don't know.
I seriously doubt it.
You don't want to talk about that, huh?
Yeah. There was a trailer for Fast 10 as well, which
depending on when that comes out, I might go see that on the big screen.
I think we basically seen the biggest stunt that they're gonna do, and that is looks like Dom's gonna take his Torino off the almost looks like the Hoover Dam maybe.
I hope all the hype from James Gunn and the big plan reveal isn't just a marketing ploy by Discovery to make the DC properties look good to potential buyers. Hope we see some of these movies made. And I read where that is some people's speculation. They're trying to make it look like a valuable commodity. They're trying to make it look like show potential buyers like, look, this is what you can do with this.
Hey, as long as it increases the quality of what we get and everything, and we get more, I'm all for that.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways, I don't really care who owns them necessarily, as long as they're putting out good product.
Mm-hmm. As long as if you own them, remember, let your creators create for you. That's what you pay them to do.
Yep. There was also another one. I think of the Adam Driver. It's like 56.
Is this a dinosaur one?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm big excited about that.
I can't remember the name of it. Like it's M something or something, isn't it? Something like that, or
I think it's got like some numbers in the title of it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm just gonna look. Adam Driver dinosaur.
Isn't it 65? What?
65.
Right.
Yes, that's yep.
Yeah, 65. That's all. Yeah, that looks fantastic. I saw trailers for that before Avatar. You have time travel, you have sci-fi, and you have dinosaurs all in the same movie. I'm sold. Adam Driver, that's just a bonus.
There you go.
It's a bonus at that point. Yeah, it looks like he inadvertently time travels back to 65 million years BC, and him and one other person are trying to survive in this prehistoric time against raptors, T-Rexes. And what I thought was cool about the design for the dinosaurs too, like where a lot of the stuff that we see are toys in Jurassic Park, it's all kind of adjusted to be more screen, I don't know, consumer based. It's not exactly like what you would see in the fossil record. They also like crisscross eras to bring cooler animals together that wouldn't have existed at the same time. Like raptors don't look nothing like that. They're smaller unless you get like a Utah raptor, and then they're kind of blocky and they don't look as predator. But the dinosaurs in that looked a lot different, like what you'd consider a raptor to look like. Yeah, like the longer arms and stuff. And I don't know.
Yeah, and obviously, they've done like Land of the Lost and things like that, but it looked as though he's from the future traveling to the past because he has all sorts of like futuristic guns and things like that he's brought with him.
Yeah, not present day for sure. The guns and stuff and the way his outfit, it reminded me heavily of the Tom Cruise movie Oblivion. Mm-hmm. Just with some of the design in it. Dr. Von Hoot says not a chance in hell Warner want to sell the DC IP. Yeah, I don't think they're attempting to sell the IP as much as like I don't know, just get other investors in on it. Mm-hmm. I think this year, the way that these next films go, taking Shazam off the equation, that movie they're going to be lucky to break even, I think. Then again, it could be a sleeper hit. Who knows? Mm-hmm. That first one was, but I think depending on how these movies go is contingent upon what happens next. And I know we should at least get Creature Commandos and Waller, because if you look at the timeline, that's all that we'll be getting in 2024. We should be getting a season of Superman and Lois. That might be why they're allowing it one more season, because of the time gap between the DCU starting in 2024. Right? 2024?
2025.
Yeah, 2025. God. So this year's stacked. Next year is barren. And then after that, then the ball really gets rolling.
And the thing is, Creature Commandos is already written.
Yeah, and it's an animation thing, so they've probably been working on it to have a property ready to go. And then right after that is Waller, a television property, doesn't have the same. So it looks like they put two softballs at the front end of it to fill in a time gap before we get to the big silver screen blockbusters. I'm sorry, people. I'm just too emotionally disturbed to talk about anything other than Rihanna right now. Yeah. Well, man, that.
So is that all the trailers that we got tonight? Like, there's not going to be any more. Like, I heard that there's going to be a Little Mermaid one, Elemental one, possibly some other Marvel features. Not like there could have been like a Loki season 2 trailer. That would have been cool.
When you say Elementals, you mean the television show?
I think it's like an animated cartoon show.
Oh, the next Pixar thing?
Yeah. Like I was just looking at a list of like what they have coming, what the potential trailers were going to be.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see some more movie trailers. It's still over a quarter and a half to go. So,
what's the score now?
It's 24-21.
No, they're coming back.
Yep.
Nice.
So I'm about to pull it up. I want to talk about some books from this week. Paul, you said you only had about 4.
Yeah, I got 4.
How many books did you pick this week?
I read 1.
Perfect. You down to stick around and talk about it?
Yeah.
Paul, what are the 4 that you picked up this week, or that you had a chance to read?
Lazarus Planet,
Mm-hmm.
Flash,
Mm-hmm.
Batman,
Uh-huh.
and Batman and the Joker. I also did Monkey Prince, but I know you haven't picked that one up, so we won't talk about that until next week.
Yeah, I know that I have that Flash book. I even read it already. I just don't know where I put it. But yeah, I got that Lazarus Planet, which there's a DC Comics deep dive coming out tomorrow at
10 a.m.
10 a.m. where we go into detail and break down this whole book. Just know that this was a good one. This was solid. Did you read this, Tim?
Yeah, that's the one I read.
Okay, well then we'll talk about this a little bit tonight. I picked up this one.
I'm still getting through like one of the stories, so you guys can talk about it last.
Is it the very last one?
Yes.
Oh well, you're good. You've read the good stuff. This was an old one that I picked up. I'd missed that previously, but that was fun. Joe Fixit #2, Batman. I got around to reading Sergeant Rock that I looked over in a stack that I missed. Deadly Duo took a turn for the better with this one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Ghost Rider 11. Marvel lied to us. This was my
Right.
blind pick of the week going in because we were getting Danny Ketch brought in. And no, we're not. Not this issue. Not there. Not at all. Ghost Rider doesn't even pop up in it. It was kind of an epilogue to the finale that we got in that last issue of the first story arc. We kind of just see them going town to town kind of thing, kind of just washing off the exhaust from the previous issue. Exhaust being the big villain that he fought. And he kind of trapped him and encased him in a motorcycle form to, like, I don't know, just keep an eye on him and watch him. He isn't like there anymore. Just kind of his essence is there, but it's him having to let go of that because it's just going to cause problems. Just showing how he could be wanting to be controlling over something because this curse is controlling over him. But it was still good. I mean, I'm really enjoying this Ghost Rider series. I'm excited for Danny Ketch to get here though. Deadly Duo.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think, Paul?
I liked it. I thought the whole train concept was kind of cool that they did, where basically there is a whole bunch of people on a train, and there is a person who is threatening to blow up the train. I'm sorry, no, they're not going to blow. Well, they'll blow up the train if they disconnect any parts of the train. But the train is actually heading towards a train station where there are thousands of people that will die because the train's not going to slow down as it gets to the train station. So what they have to do is there's like all of these people on the train, and the puzzle that's posed to the Joker and Batman is they have to lower the weight of the train by a certain amount in order to stop the train from going into the train station and blowing
It was
up.
like 28,000 pounds or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
They had to find a way to lower the weight of the train to resemble that of an empty train with no people on it. It was pretty savage. They start tearing up furniture and ripping up and throwing everything out. Batman tries to incinerate some of the back end cars to lighten them up, and Joker makes jokes. He's like, "Why don't we start throwing people off till we hit the right weight? We won't waste anything. We'll just start with the fat people first." And when Batman's not looking, he ends up throwing 12 people off the train and saving the remaining 44 by doing it. And it was kind of savage. One thing I did like about it a lot, though, we did meet that character at the graveside of his daughter in the previous issue, who's obviously in on this big villain plot. And we see why he's so mad, why he has an eye patch. And we get a flashback to a wedding of his daughter, and Joker and Harley just bust in with a vehicle crashing the wedding. It looks almost like they were doing a robbery of these rich people and what's there. But the groom stepped up and tried to step to the Joker, and he didn't even get a full sentence out before the Joker just turns and shoots him in the head like he's nobody. So we know that he died at the gun of the Joker. We haven't seen the exact cause of his daughter's death, but we know that she has a tombstone. And now we know this rich guy is missing an eye from the incident as well. Joker had a gun to the father's head. Before he pulled the trigger, Batman moved the gun at the last minute. But he did lose an eye. So we have a rich guy with a vendetta, a dead daughter, and a dead son-in-law, and this mysterious villain with this regeneration technology. Clearly, it's one of the kids. It's either the daughter or the boyfriend. I'm thinking it's the daughter, and that there's no one in that grave. It's
That would be a pretty good assumption.
But it was cool. The artwork still is insane.
Mm-hmm.
The artwork is like Flash trailer level good.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. TM, you want to talk a little Lazarus Planet? What is this one called? Next Evolution.
Next Evolution. Yeah. Yeah. The first story was quite like I love the art and the first story with Vigil. Vigil, like getting introduced to Vigil. I guess this is the first appearance of Vigil.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty good. It's not a story about Vigil. It's more of a story about Red Hood and how he and that. So it was a very quick story. It was more action packed than anything. And then it was just kind of an introduction at the end to Vigil. Nothing too big happened, but it was a fun with great art.
Paul, what did you think of that first story in there?
Yeah, I liked it. To Travis's point, there's not really a lot that happens. Basically, there is a Lazarus resin container. Sounds dumb, so I'm still not going to read it.
About
There's a
Billy
there's a rogue Lazarus container out there somewhere that is out in the city, and Red Hood is trying to get it, and so he ends up going to this bridge where there's then this building at the end of a bridge, and he goes inside and he sees what's left of a whole bunch of people that were inside that had it, and then from there, through flashbacks, you see the members of Vigil basically tearing into those people that were there before, until one of them finally throws something at the Red Hood, and they end up, face to face with Vigil saying, "Hey, we're not the bad guys. We're all on the same side." But this raisin container can't be out there, so we're taking it. And then we get a promise that we'll see the Vigil again coming soon, and we will, because there's already been an announcement from Romby that he's going to be doing a series on the Vigil.
Yeah, I don't think that this one, it was fun. Like you said, it was action packed. Just watching the Red Hood go, you could really feel the momentum in it. And the introduction to the Vigil, which is a trio so far, as what we know, was decent. But there was really no connection to the event, the Lazarus Planet event. The Lazarus resin is something that exists independent of this event. It's a problem in Gotham because of Gotham's ties to Ra's al Ghul, obviously. And it just felt like this event is being used heavily to springboard readers to potential upcoming projects. Rom V is writing Detective Comics currently, and like Paul said, he's really got this whole Vigil thing coming. And but the characters did seem cool. You have like a shapeshifter, you have like a guy with electrical abilities. We have one that we don't know what they do yet. But
and we could we don't know a lot about them, so they could have gotten their powers from the Lazarus. Like that's probably why the stories like that. There was one scene I absolutely did love, like with that fighting scene where it showed that girl. She was like jumping around the Red Hood. I absolutely love that panel.
Yeah, he went in like a kind of like, all right, I'm not as fast, but I can overpower her, and goes in fast, and she's just bouncing everywhere. It's like, well, I can't touch her. And to your point about them getting their abilities, Paul and I go into more depth on this tomorrow. But we were kind of wondering, with what's going on in Detective Comics with the Orgham family, the original Arkhams, like if you trace their lineage back, the Arkhams split off from the Orghams, them coming to reclaim their birthright at Gotham, and with them already taking out the League of Assassins pretty much, and having, I'm wondering if this is like a response to them, if Vigil is a pushback against them, or potential people that have branched out or that came with the Orghams but aren't down with what they're doing and their violent nature, and like you said, potentially got these abilities from the Lazarus effect. We've already seen that the Orghams have access to like mystical abilities and stuff, so it's not far-fetched to think people that are rocking with them had some side effects from the Lazarus stuff and decided to do their own thing. They did tell Red Hood, "We're not your enemy."
Right. I do hope that once they get to the actual series, that they're not in Gotham City. Gotham City does not need any more heroes,
We need to take it back to where the Orghams came from.
Right.
That would be cool. All right, TM, what was the next story in there? This was it.
This is one of my favorite ones, and that I love the art in it as well, and I love this new character. What's her name? Flatline. Yeah, she has the power to bring people back. Is it like bring people back from the dead?
Yeah, she can talk to dead people.
Talk to dead people.
She has that definite connection to the dearly departed.
So she comes looking for Talia al Ghul, and then her bodyguard is there, and she goes head to head with that bodyguard, and he seems a little weakened from this Lazarus effect, so it was easier for her to take him down. And then come the end, we get a huge reveal. I love the huge reveal at the end. A character that was said to be dead is back now.
Who was that character, TM?
Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, however you like to say it.
I say Ra's al Ghul.
The demon head never dies.
Nope. Paul, what'd you think of this one?
Yeah, same thing. I thought it was a great way to end the story. Anything you're doing something with anything that starts with the word Lazarus, at some point, Ra's al Ghul has to show up, because it just wouldn't be the same. And since he was killed, we make an interesting. I think you actually bring it up, and in the deep dive tomorrow, we're wondering, is it the actual corporal Ra's al Ghul that she's seeing, or does she have now some connection to a more spiritual Ra's al Ghul,
like his ghost? Because what she fought her way through Talia's hideout, trying to get to Talia. Ubu was the guard who was Ra's al Ghul's guard, not even Talia's guard, but this is the failed bodyguard of Ra's al Ghul. And the back and forth with Flatline and him, it was great. And there's times when I'm like, God, like that's deeply personal and mean what y'all are saying to each other. Like they were really taking deep cuts. And this did have some tie-in, obviously. Flatline being there is a tie-in to the event, as she was really at the start of this in the Robin series that took place on Lazarus Island. And then when Ubu couldn't take her down, he did call in for backup, and all three of the assassins that came to assist him had been juiced up by the Lazarus effect. We saw one with fire ability, one that looked like he had ninja stars coming out of his body and was able to throw them and stuff. But it was really interesting to see that she was being led here by a voice as well as just looking for Talia. And we see this voice kind of talking to her, Nika, through the whole thing. And when she gets there, it was the urn of Ra's al Ghul that was speaking to her, that she was communing with. And when she opened it, that's when, like TM says, we get a visually drawn Ra's al Ghul. It's not just like smoke and mirrors looking. It's like he looks like he's there, but the word bubbles are kind of distorted and look like I don't know how you describe it. They're not clean cut.
Right. They look almost like more like the Spectres type bubbles that they use, rather than someone who is physically there.
I got to go back because I don't know, did anybody look surprised that he was there? Because maybe she is the only one seeing him.
No one in the panels with them present, everyone else was down and out.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So it could go either way. The way I look at it.
Yeah, that makes a good point, though.
What is going on? He said, "Sorry, I'm late. Love the vigil guy that stole multiple man's outfit." Yeah, with old Freckle. Love the reveal at the end of Flatline story.
But either way, he will be an important part of this going forward, because that was so not the end.
Yeah, so not the end. Now, the third story was probably my favorite story, but for different reasons. TM, you want to take it?
I like this one too. It was like a Deadeye, Amanda Waller type of story, and how she was trying to test Deadeye and that. And I'm not too familiar with this character, but it was like every man, was it?
Yeah,
the character, and that kind of reminded me of I can't even think of his name now. Drawing a blank, but
Deadeye?
Moving on. No, Everyman kind of looked like a character. Doomsday kind of reminded me of Doomsday a little bit.
Well, at a point he did turn into Doomsday. I think that's
when he becomes the Amalgam Man.
Yeah, he's able just to shape shift to different people, right? Hello?
Oh, I think he's frozen.
Oh. But is that Everyman's shtick?
Sorry, I cut it there for a second.
That's okay. So you were saying he looked like Doomsday, Travis.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with this character, so he can be just any man. I loved how he took the powers of Beast Boy, and turned into there was perfectly drawn dinosaurs in this. I thought like the dinosaurs were freaking amazing, and just him going through this and fighting through it. And then we come to find out that Amanda Waller did send him to test him, and then he was asking him like, Are you the one who caused the Lazarus effect too? Like, are you the one that caused the rain to come down? And she's like, no, that was just an added bonus. Which I like. That just goes to show you how like vicious Amanda Waller is, and just gets me hyped for the TV show coming.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool, and both Everyman and Deadeye had enhancements from the Lazarus effect, so that was cool. I'm not familiar with him either. I don't have experience with that character. It just seems assassin-based in nature and stuff. But what I really loved about this one was it was kind of bridging the end of Dark Crisis and what's to come with Amanda Waller and the Suicide Squad. He did reference, and it showed their connection, how they're like offhand related, and he referenced her being on Earth 3, and she's insinuating that she has big plans she's working on, and he's going to be a part of them. So it just served a really good way to get me excited for the squad and everything. And because I'm big excited for whatever they got coming with that.
Wasn't it mentioned that he was her nephew? That is Amanda Waller's nephew?
I believe it was, yeah.
Something along those lines. I don't remember. So, Paul, what'd you think of that one?
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite one was actually The Vigil, the first one, but it definitely was a strong story because there also was a connection between Everyman and Deadeye as well, because at the end, although we think Everyman is dead because he gets a hole blown through the middle of him, at the end, Deadeye is actually giving him some, nursing him by a campfire and, giving him liquid and everything, so...
So we'll see where it goes. And that final story, TM ain't ready yet, so we won't talk about it.
I don't care. Talk about it.
No, that's fine.
I started reading it, and that you just don't want to talk about it.
No, we're going to do you a solid. We don't want to do you a disservice. If you want to hear about it.
Travis, we would talk about it, but both of us have algebra exams to study for.
I have to go to a trigger myself.
Yeah,
I did start reading it, and it did kind of like seem like it's about the Red Canary, who I'm not familiar with it at all.
Brand new character.
And then, just her coming out of bed and that, and going from there. I just stopped reading at that point. Like I was like, I'm done reading right now. I was like, I'll come back to it, but I never did.
We do find out that she's very messy and leaves cheese around her apartment.
Yeah, I don't need to read it.
It was an absolute pointless story, Travis, to be honest with you. All it was her getting ready for school, and she's in Seattle, and a bunch of art statues and things come to life from the Lazarus effect. Like, there's a bubblegum statue that comes to life. There's a little bronze pig running around, and her and a character called Sideways are just trying to rein him in, and they're trying to do it before they run out of time and have to go to school, and they miss their test.
Sideways
doesn't miss his.
He doesn't.
He tells her.
He can. Yeah.
Because like, I have an hour, and then I have to go.
Yeah,
it's like, what does this have to connect with the Lazarus effect? Like, did she get her powers from it?
She has no power. She's literally a Black Canary fan, and the absence of Black Canary from Justice League number 75, where the Justice League are presumed dead, how we had that run before they returned in Dark Crisis. She was a fan that just took up being a vigilante in her absence because she aspires to be like her. And in Dark Crisis, she actually gets to cross paths with her, and she gets that proper boost of motivation to continue trying to set out to do good under the guise of Red Canary. She ends up getting a couple of batons along the way from the events and everything. So she's got some cool tech, just those. But she's just a college student who is inspired by the heroes before her to pick up a mantle and try to follow in their footsteps. And she got the A-OK from Black Canary along the way.
Okay.
She's a cool character. I'm not going to lie. She's super fun. And the banter with her and some of the other characters that we've had in Dark Crisis was phenomenal. #cakes as well. The covers are great, but this was just a pointless story inside of this is all it really was for me. I know that they're trying to put the character out there and stuff, which is fine. I totally despise the artwork in it. Art's completely subjective, different mileage, different structure, different folks. But if I wanted to read anime, I would read anime. And I was told by Tyler that you can't read anime. It's called manga, but I don't read manga or anime because I don't care for the art in it. The stories
I thought you can where you got to read it backwards from the back to
There
the
you go.
front.
That's how you read. You read anime backwards. But I've heard there's some fantastic stories out there, but I can't get past the art. I just don't care for that art style. And this was heavily influenced by anime art style, and so it was just kind of a blah story when and inside of an event where I'm just trying to get every piece I can get out of these. They should have put this at the front of the book and left like the Waller tat like for the back. Like leave your big story cliffhanger toward the back. Pops picked up the mantle once it was heavy. Sounds like a franchise.
I get why they put it in the back though, because then you're just like you've already read the good stuff, and now you can just drop it. You start off with that, you're just like,
I'm
just like me reading the first 2 pages. Like I'm good.
I'm done reading for today. Next one that I picked up was Joe Fixit #2. This is one of those retro titles that Peter David's doing over at Marvel. It does take place in the same time era that Joe Fixit did in the comic books. He's the muscle man for the mobster running the casino. I don't think he's a mobster. It's the guy running the casino. Kingpin's trying to move in on some stuff in Las Vegas. It failed in that first issue. He's coming back with a little plan to gas Joe Fixit to make him go berserker. Spider-Man did appear in that last issue, so he's hanging out with Joe when he gets gassed by Wilson Fisk and he starts going berserk. So you get a really cool fight with Spider-Man and Joe Fixit, and that's pretty much the cliffhanger in it. Great issue, fun stuff. These retro books are where it's at Marvel right now. I don't care what anybody says. These things are better than anything else they got going on. Loved it. Highly recommend. Anything that Peter David does, guaranteed to be quality. Fun. It's just straight fun. Thank you so much, Jetpack Laser Penis. I try not to ever give up on my dreams, and I also won't stop believing. Hope you're doing good tonight. Appreciate you popping in. What's another one you picked up, Paul? Batman 132. Second installment in Chip Zdarsky's next run. TM, are you keeping up with Batman proper? Well, let us tell you about it.
All right.
So basically, there's 2 stories here. The first story has Batman in a new situation. I kind of the main story is like an Elseworld story, and everything that's happening in the real world is happening in the backup story, in the Tim Drake story. But Batman is basically in this world where there's Bruce Wayne has been killed. There's no Batman.
Never was a Batman, from what I understand, right?
Right.
He never became Batman. Okay.
Right. So he's trying to find his way back. In this new world, surprise, surprise, there is, however, still an Alfred Pennyworth that we find out from the very first page. And all of the authorities in this world have basically been juiced up on venom. And are basically Gotham City has been walled off, so it's kind of a little bit like No Man's Land and Venom and everything. It's all those dumped into one big story on an Elseworld story. There is a person called the Red Mask who we don't know exactly who it is, but he is still walking around, and we assume, or I assume anyway, that it's the Red Hood in this particular world, but we don't know that for certain. There is a Selina Kyle who does not know this Bruce Wayne, but doesn't know this Bruce Wayne personally, but knows there is a Bruce Wayne and recognizes Bruce when he goes to a gala with a disguise on, but she recognizes him anyway, and they see this person.
He should have won his match as Malone. That's where he messed up. He didn't go his match as Malone.
There you go. Yep. And they see the person who is running this gala his name is something Halliday, I believe it is.
Yeah, Mr. Halliday.
Darwin Halliday, who is apparently the Joker in this particular, without the white face, but he is the Joker in this particular reality. And we end up then with Bruce ending up fighting Killer Croc. And Selina ends up helping, and then we find him falling off a building, and it's funny because he references, he's like, "I fell from space." It's like, don't bring that up again.
Yeah, too soon, way too soon.
He ends up flying through this building. He ends up basically he sees images of or illusions of Dr. Bones. It looks like.
No, that's Jim Gordon. That's dead Jim
Oh,
Gordon.
right, dead Jim Gordon. I'm sorry, you're right. And he ends up basically upside down, hanging from a wire at the end of the story.
Yeah, this story a little bit better. So this is the second issue we've had in this. So 2 issues ago, Failsafe shot Batman and looked like it killed him, but really whatever he did caused him to go to a different universe, to a different Gotham, where it's like ran by a fascist called Red Mask, and it's an all-white costume, red cloak. We don't know who's under the cloak, but everyone clearly fears this person. Even the police that Harvey Dent seems to be called the Judge, and he's like basically Judge Dredd. He's juiced up on venom. Red Mask has a button that can control him, and he's running the whole city with an iron thumb for him. There is a rebellious little faction that Bruce has gotten teamed up with early on. They're low on resources. People are hungry. They don't even have metal, but Batman Bruce decides to invade that gala to see if he can get close and figure out what's going on. And by the end of it, after having fought this world's version of Punchline, Selena Kyle, seeing the Joker, and barely getting out, he's laying in the alley beat up and tied up, and he decides that he no matter where he's at, Gotham is Gotham, and Gotham is his home, and this Gotham needs a Batman.
Exactly. This Gotham needs a Batman.
So we're about to get like some kind of like clockwork Batman, steampunk Batman. Like his resources are going to be interesting. It's Chip Zdarsky has mentioned he's not doing big world building inside of this Batman book. It's just going to be mini series, like mini runs or just story arcs, which that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Easily collectible in trade form. But that got me a little excited at the end. That got me a little hyped. Watching the dynamic with him and Selena was pretty cool. He was having to hold himself back, his emotions back, remind himself that this isn't my Selena, but Selena is Selena in any universe, and she's always going to be dangerous, and she was. But yeah,
and she's always going to recognize Bruce, no matter what he.
Always going to recognize Bruce.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
By the sounds of it, it's a good time to get into this story, and it seems like it's going to be interesting. So, like, you guys kind of sold me on this. Like, I'm going to want to read this in either trade form or pick it up in physical copies.
You got to decide fast, because in 2 more issues we'll be on to the next story arc.
and the backup story is Tim Drake basically trying to get Bruce back. He doesn't believe Bruce is dead, and he partners up with Michael Holt, right? The
Mr. Terrific.
Mr. Terrific. And they realized that one of the first things they showed in this backup story was Toyman killing himself, committing suicide, and we didn't really know why. But now we find out that the gun that he used to kill himself is the same gun or a similar gun to the gun that Failsafe used. And so they realize that it's not a gun that killed either one of them, but sent them to another place. And so the Mr. Terrific and Tim decide that they're going to help Tim get to this particular place. They give him a suit that's going to help him to get there, and it's going to have some sort of a tracker, for lack of a better term, that will allow him to come back. And then they also gave him some other trackers that they can put on someone that will bring him along with him when he comes back. So we find Tim traveling to this new universe, but as soon as he gets there, he's shot at, and we find out that that's where Toyman is. And so it ends, the part 2 ends with a standoff between Tim Drake and Toyman with all of his henchmen or whatever acolytes behind him in this new universe.
At least Tim's trying. At least he's trying.
Exactly.
If they're terrific on the job, he'll get there eventually. I did pick up and read this. This was from a couple of weeks ago, but it got lost in my stack. This is Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead. Second to last issue. They make it to Hitler. It's just a big storming of the castle. Really brutal, really violent, and it ends with them all stuck in a room with this juiced up Hitler. That's all.
There you go.
But it's fun. It's really not deep story heavy. It's just straight action heavy. You know, the goal is to kill these Nazi zombies in World War II, and that's what they set out to do, and it's a messy job.
Yep.
Paul, you got another one from this week? Flash, yes, Flash. That was a blast.
It was. It was. We still have Iris is supposedly dead, and so they bring Iris to Wally's home, where all of the speedsters are, and he's not convinced yet. He he decides though that they need to leave her alone for now, and they need to figure out what's going on. And so they decide what they need is they need one of the vehicles that the fraction use in order to get around, because that way they can better discover what it is, that how the fraction is running things, and exactly what goes into
How they got this speed technology.
right, exactly how they got the speed technology. So, as they're talking, and someone says, we need this, we need one of these vehicles. Well, Bart just decides to take off with Wally, and decides that they're going to go get one, because that's what Bart does. He's like, he at one point he says, "Don't you know my name is Impulse?"
Yeah.
Um,
Don't you ever think things through? Don't you know
yeah,
my name?
yeah. So they end up going into part of the spaceship, and they find um, this battery that is attached to something, and so they decide that they're going to steal the battery and bring it back, and then research and investigate it, take it apart, so they can figure out exactly what is powering the fraction. And as they do that, they run into some of the people from the fraction. They end up using it as a battering ram instead, and when they use it as a battering ram, they find out there is a person inside of the battery. So almost as though the fraction is basically siphoning off power somehow from people, and that's what they're using.
Yeah, because we know from the previous one shot that they were running low on resources, and that they decided to expand their empire and start going to neighboring worlds, and they claimed that they were going to uninhabited ones and stripping them of their resources. Now it's looking like part of those resources they need are actual people.
Right, correct. They end up they end up actually stealing one of these vehicles. They get it back to where everyone is, and as they're looking into the back of the vehicle, they say, I wonder what is in here. And lo and behold, it looks like it is Superman and Captain Atom, and I'm gonna guess Gorilla Grodd. There's just a huge ape in the back that all look like they're just like frozen in time. Um, because they're not laying there with their eyes closed and like they're unconscious. They look as though they've been frozen, and so that's what's in the back of one of these vehicles. So that's where it ends, basically.
And it was fun. The dynamic between the characters in this was great, and it was a great little moment of lightheartedness as well, because it does start off kind of heavy with Barry having Iris there in the bed, kind of mourning over, and then trying to muster his strength to keep moving forward. And it was cool watching like Barry use his intellect, where that's really one of his strong suits, is how smart he is to decide that they need the tech, and just getting this little side mission to get some of these other Flash family members some time to shine. But I heavily enjoyed it. The dynamic with Bart and Ace was hilarious. It just played well. It kept moving fast, but got a lot of story content out of it as well. They did run into that Lady Death person looking like someone from the dark dimension, and they were able to best her, and we found out that she kind of hunts off of thought. She can hear people's thoughts and stuff, and they actually took that and used it to their advantage, and Bart doesn't think before he leaps. He just takes off. It was good stuff. Jeremy Adams is crushing it, absolutely crushing it.
And if you need a new if you need a new cuss word, you can use snargle-bargle.
Snargle-bargle.
I did pre-order that Flash 1 Minute War Start the Clock #1, which has issue 790, 791, and 792.
Nice.
But I think I read 791.
Did you read the one shot special? There's one that's not listed there.
Yeah, I think I read that one shot special. That was the one with the advanced
bad guys.
Yeah, like the society that could move fast like everybody else in that, and everything was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the invaders. Yeah. So you'll be set. You can read that at the front end of it and be set as well. Perfect. And then the last one I have for this week is Gotham City Year One, issue number 5, the penultimate issue of Tom King and Phil Hester's crime noir origin of how Gotham goes from the shining city on the hill to trash.
I hope that everybody's having a fantastic night.
Yeah,
I couldn't deal with the silence.
I'm giving nights. That takes priority.
Yeah. So who's winning the football game right now?
Burke must be happy because the Chiefs are up by 8 and Becker too. Burke and Becker.
Go Chiefs.
Yeah, this was like the whodunit explanation thing. The long story short of this is the Waynes of this era have their daughter stolen. Total, was it the Lindbergh baby style?
Yep.
Slam Bradley gets brought in to help solve it, but we get the big bombshell that Mr. Wayne was having a side affair with the lady who's been middlemaning all these notes and stuff for the exchange for the baby for money. That was actually a lady friend of his. We found out that he's an idiot. He's fast and loose with his money and ruining their Wayne's fortune. And it's really Mrs. Wayne who's running the show. And along the way, their daughter Helen actually was supposed to be picked up safe, but turned up dead and buried in the backyard of this mistress's house. So it looks like she's getting burned by Mrs. Wayne, that she's throwing her under the bus. They got really complex, and we still don't know who's telling the truth in all of this. And it's all going to come to a head because Slam's done had it. And he's just pulling up with all these facts and all this information to the Wayne's house, having found out who killed his partner at the beginning of this, having taken some of the Wayne's paid help and drugged them through the streets to get answers. He's a teetotal badass, and he's had enough. And he's just about to go face it head on. The ish hits the fan in this final issue. Can't wait. Mm-hmm. This has been an intense story. Gotham is literally burning right now as well. Like everyone in the streets went out for protesting, and it evolved into rioting because they found out that the princess of the city is dead, and they want someone to pay for it. And you see where Gotham's soul is tainted from these families, and Gotham's physical heart is being burned by the citizens. We're watching it all crumble.
Yep. Yeah, it's really good. I just haven't read that issue yet.
Comiiverse, what is happening, dude? It is a phenomenal issue. Mm-hmm. I saw the Flash preview. It looks awesome. The Flash. Yeah, we covered a lot of that in the beginning of this. You should definitely check out the rewind of this. And that's all the books for tonight I have. Y'all got anything else y'all want to touch on?
We could actually, for the first time, talk about the latest Last of Us episode.
Oh, holy crap. I've completely forgot about that thanks to that whole Flash trailer. Last of Us, yeah. Normally comes out on 9 o'clock on Sundays. It came out this past Friday. Episode 5. Wow. Wow. What's the little girl's name? Ellie. You see Joel and Ellie trying to cross the country. They get forced to go through KC. And in the midst of it, they get attacked. They're on the run. And we see that they end up getting help by this man and this little kid who turn out to be Henry, right? That's his name?
Yep.
Henry.
Henry's the older one.
Yeah. Again, long story short, Fedra, what is it called? Fedra? Fedra was running the DMZ zone in KC, and they got overthrown by the people of KC, and now the rebellion of KC is taken over, and they're crazy. They're just as crazy as Fedra. When you've been treated a certain way for 20 years, you tend to act the same way, and that's what's turned out and happening here. And they're after Henry because apparently Henry was a snitch for Fedra.
He was a collaborator.
Collaborator, that's the word. But snitches get stitches and wind up in ditches, so says Kathleen, who's running the city now. And they're, despite everything going on, all she sees is getting revenge on this guy. And ultimately, Henry and Joel and Henry's little brother and Ellie, they're working their way out of the city. And it comes to a big standoff between Kathleen and her people. And about that time, KC that was cleared of the infected all emerge out of the ground and a huge battle at the end. We get to see our first bloater, which is like an oversized version of an infected, ripping people's heads off and everything, and they eventually make it out. It's an even more tragic ending than what we saw in episode 3.
Yes, and part of the tragedy is that the little boy, as part of the whole battle that's going on, he gets bit by one of the clickers, whatever, or one of the. I would call him a zombie, but I read somewhere that they're not allowed to use the word zombie at all in any of the stories or on the set. So he gets bit. He shows Ellie that he gets bit, and we know that Ellie, her blood is like is like some sort of medicine against that. So she cuts her hand, puts the blood on his bite, and then they decide that they're going to stay up all night. She promises the little boy that she will stay up with him all night. She ends up falling asleep. She, the next morning, goes over to him as he is at the window, looking out the window, and when he turns around, he jumps at her because he's obviously been infected. They end up going out the room into the next room where Joel and Henry are. Henry has a gun. He stops Joel from going towards the boy at first, and then he shoots the one person that he truly loves in this world. Shoots the little boy dead, and then because he can't take what he just did, he ends up killing himself, which was even more drastic. Than, I mean, it was tear jerking when he shot his brother, but then when he turns it on himself, it's like he just doesn't want to live in this world anymore. So, and then we end up, we'll see where Joel and Ellie end up next, but that's kind of the end of it. So,
Trav, did you watch this episode?
I haven't watched any of the show yet. I do plan to watch it, but I'm going to binge it.
Yeah.
Not like in one sitting, but like once a night, like for a week straight. So it's going to be a show.
Format wise, it seemed like episode 4 and 5 was just like a dual one long episode kind of thing. And going from episode 3, which was a very personal story, episode 2 that was very like close knit to our characters, episode 4 getting introduced to KC, the dynamic of the city, the hierarchy of the people, a whole laundry list of new characters. It almost felt overwhelming for episode 4. It was, to me, the weakest of all of them. But then we got this episode that pairs with it. We get to see this close dynamic in this story told of Henry and his little brother. And they focus on those characters a lot in this episode, and it really brings us back in. As a viewer, I was absolutely sucked in. I immediately, like episode 3, felt invested in these characters. I felt their fear. I felt their heartache, the troubles that they're facing, just trying to survive, just to get out from other people, not even the infected. So this episode really brought that essence back to the show that 4 didn't really have, but it paired with 4 perfectly to really make it like hit a lot harder. I think, like Paul pointed out, after having spent this time with the brothers and watching their journey before they find Joel, when that end scene hits, you really feel it, because this kid couldn't have been more than like 7-6 years old, something like that, and he was a little deaf child, and you can just see the innocence in this character, and just to see how like no one's safe, like this infection has no boundaries. Well, what tragic things can happen. Like Kathleen has a line in it earlier in the episode where she looks at Henry and says, "Children die too," and that should have been our fair warning, because it happens, and it was absolutely tragic. We get to see Joel really go out on a limb and risk it to save Ellie. Like there's a point in the big battle at the end with all the rebellion of Kansas City. Fighting off all this infected that are clearly overwhelming them, and Joel's just up in a tower with a rifle, knocking off anybody that gets near Ellie. Like you can see like how intense it is for him, how hard he's trying to do it, how much he wants to protect this girl at this point. And it's easy to forget that at any point he can just go, like leave her, but he's already got that bond to her, and it really showed in this one that he's not giving up on this kid, that he feels that responsibility that God, what was his girlfriend's name, Paul, in episode 1 and 2?
Yeah, I can't remember.
But she really like, was it Judith?
I don't recall, to be honest with you.
I always wanted to call her Judith because I thought she was a Judas at first when I first saw her. I'm like, this woman's going to be bad news, and she turned out not to be. But Yeah, you really brought all those emotions back. It got me so invested, and that ending was just sad. And watching Ellie's reaction, because the little kid had a sign that hung on him that he could just erase and rewrite on, and erase and rewrite on. She comes up to there because they dig him graves and actually give him a proper burial. And she comes up with a sign and lays it down on his grave. It says, "I'm sorry." And then she just asks Joel, "Which way is west?" And she just starts walking. Like you see Ellie really feeling like the weight of loss in this journey they're on.
I think one of the things I really like about this series is, I mean, it basically is a series about the apocalypse and zombies and things like that. Although they don't call them zombies, but the most important, at least the best episodes for me so far, have been about the human condition. It hasn't been about the zombies. It's been about very small, intimate type of relationships, and how they are formed, how they develop in this new world, and in some ways, like we have here, how they're ended. It's not, although the bloater was great, and I was like yelling when it came out of the hole. The episodes for me been, again, it's more about the human condition and emotion and feeling than it is about how dangerous these clickers and these zombies are.
Yeah, big time. Kathleen was such an interesting character as well. She, the snitched on her brother to Fedra early on.
Mhm.
Her brother was apparently this kind-hearted soul, forgiving to everyone, optimistic, and all this. And the little boy, Henry's brother, had leukemia, and medicine was scarce. And the only way that Fedra would give up the medicine was if he turned over somebody big to Fedra. So he turned over the leader of the resistance, and the leader imprisoned and everything told Kathleen to forgive him. This is all bigger than just any of us, and she refuses to. And her vengeance cost everybody in that city their life, literally everybody.
Mhm.
Fedra had run all the infected underground, presumed that they'd stayed in the subway tunnels. Turned out the subway tunnels were clean, so they presumed them to be somewhere else. But she had already seen that there were spots in the city where it looked like sinkholes. Something was trying to come through sinkholes, and she's already said, "We'll deal with it later." And even her right hand man said something about sweeping the city will take time. We have other stuff we have to do. And she makes a comment, "Henry's not the seventh thing on my list. Is he on yours?" Like her rage, her lust for vengeance blind her to how to actually survive in this world. And it cost the entire city their life.
Mhm.
It was wild. It was very interesting. I'm looking forward heavily to the next episode. I wish they would move them all to Friday night, not necessarily because of this show, but it's a great time. Like Friday nights are great. And I know HBO has historically been Sunday night premiere night. They do movies on Saturdays or new shows on Sundays. It's not just TV.
Right.
It's HBO.
That would make a great slogan for them.
Hey everyone, I haven't been picking up or reading comics every week like I used to, but I wanted to tune in. What is going on, Esteban? My man, how are you doing? Good seeing you here. No worries, we're actually getting close to the end. We dove in heavily on the Flash trailer that released tonight. We talked about the books that we picked up this week, and we just spoke on The Last of Us that came out a couple of days early due to the Super Bowl, and that's pretty much all I've got.
What about the Legion of Superheroes?
Oh, that made the thumbnail. Thank you, Tim. I knew you were here for a reason. You watched it, right?
Yeah, I watched it.
So this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. God, this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is number 7, the 7th DC animated movie in the newly formed Tomorrowverse. We're already up to 7, and it's Legion of Superheroes starring Supergirl. What did you think, TM?
I absolutely love. I think it could have been renamed like Supergirl Legion of Legion of Superheroes because it was more based on her, and we got a little glimpse into like Legion of Superheroes. But I absolutely love this story. It revolved around her and how she's just getting used to the world, like being in this world where Clark is already older. And how she's already screwing up, and so Clark brings her to the future and introduces her to the Legion of Superheroes, and then some stuff goes awry. She does meet Brainiac, who instantly she has disdain for because he is the one that really destroyed their planet at one point. So,
Yeah, it was pretty cool. This game's getting crazy, and I don't even watch football, but I thought it was pretty dope. It could, like you said, it could have been called something else. For me, it should have been called Legion Academy, much like how we had Teen Titans Academy. They do set the standard. Like you said, Supergirl is just too rough around the edges. She just got here, and per usual, Batman tells Superman, "We've got to do something with her." And he's like, "I got an idea." In the Tomorrowverse, this is its own universe. It's not canon to the comic books. It's just like how the animated movie universe before this had its own storyline. This does too. So you have to remember that. This is all a connected universe in these comics, but it's Elseworld. It is the animated universe. So I have to remind myself that watching this, because they make some interesting steps. They're not really diving into the expanded long history of our Trinity. They introduce them and we're moving past them. We've already seen in the Green Lantern movie that the Justice League is already formed. They show us that in a brief little moment. So a lot of stuff is moving fast. So they're really trying to, looks like, expand into stuff that they haven't done before, like John Stewart, Green Lantern, already had a Parallax Hal Jordan. This movie already has a Superman that knows the Legion, been there with the Legion. We go visit the Legion. The OG characters are looked at like senior tier members, and you have an academy of younger people coming in looking to really form a new dynamic and see who can make the team. So that was something I had to kind of get used to as well. And they made some interesting character choices, or what they did with the characters at least, that I thought, had I been like a long-standing fan of the Legion of superheroes and read a lot of that stuff, I might have been felt slighted by it. But I'm interested to hear Paul's takeaway of this and dive in on some of the details more of how this story hit for him, because I haven't read a lot of the old Legion of superheroes stuff.
I do have a question though. Wasn't there there's one thing that really, it didn't go the way that it happened, but there was like the story with Triplicate Girl and what happened to her to become, so that happened in the comics, but in a different way, didn't it?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Paul, do you want to dive in on your thoughts on some of the deviations that this universe is making from the standard canon?
Yeah, the Legion of Superheroes, kind of like Hawkman, has one of the most convoluted histories of any group in DC Comics.
Oh yeah.
It basically started It basically started, and this is probably closest to the original origin, where it started because of they were trying to emulate Superman in the 30th century, and so, but originally, and we see them kind of as holograms almost in the movie. We see them. It's Lightning Lad and Saturn Girl and Cosmic Boy. Those are the three original members of the Legion of Superheroes. They don't use any of the heavy hitters necessarily in this particular movie. I agree with Travis. It was more of a Supergirl movie almost than it was a Legion of Superheroes movie. The biggest change to history had to be with Mon-El. Mon-El is not a bad guy at all.
That's the only thing I didn't like.
They really, I think, Mark, you and I were talking, they really done Mon-El dirty in this particular one, because he was a hero. He had the same origin. He was a Daxamite and everything, so he was, akin to a Superboy or whatever. He has the same type of powers, but he was definitely not aligned with Brainiac or anything like that. In fact, at one point he was actually their leader, the Legionnaires' leader. So, but I liked it, and I know eventually with the three of us we'll talk about the after credits scene.
Yeah, so I thought I want to kind of touch on Esteban's comment here. He says he hated how the Tomorrowverse is just jumping everywhere. There's no story connecting, and it's just showing characters and showing how they got there. And that's kind of like what I was touching on with like how if you look at the Justice Society of America movie, that was our introduction to Barry Allen Flash in the Tomorrowverse. It was
it also gave us the whole the whole introduction almost to of the Justice League. We need to actually get together and work together just like these people, and that kind of formed that idea.
Yeah. And because the next time we saw them all together was just in that opening to Green Lantern, Beware My Power. We see that there is a Justice League at that point. So it looks like they're intentionally avoiding all the stuff that, as comic book fans, like the stuff that's really hardwired, kind of like in the live action movies. People are kind of done with origin movies. Quit with the original origin format. You can introduce characters, but do it more in a creative way where we're not just doing 40 minutes of them going through life. Event happens to get their powers and then big battle at the end. So the Tomorrowverse, they did do Superman origin proper, but then they introduced Flash in the Justice Society in that opening scene fighting alongside Superman against Brainiac, where the bullet goes through his head. That's the same Brainiac that we have at the end of this. So they did bring that back, much like they brought back Flashpoint Reverse Flash in the Suicide Squad Hell to Pay movie. So they did do it a little bit there, but a lot of them really don't have that overlining connected tissue yet, like we saw in the previous animated universe, which I don't know. I think we might be looking a little bit for too much in these as far as connectivity, because the other ones, they stood on their own merits pretty well. They just took into consideration what had happened before and didn't contradict it more or less. But what other ones were there?
And
was it Long Halloween was part of the Tomorrowverse.
Yeah, so they gave Batman a good bringing. That was his proper introduction, was the Long Halloween stuff. Really, Soul of the Dragon was his introduction. And then they did the Long Halloween to really solidify Gotham and his rogues and everything in that one story.
James Gunn kind of made, if I understood what he was saying correctly, is they may go kind of a different route with the animated thing anyway, because it seems as though there will be some animated projects that actually will tie into the overall theme that he's doing in the TV shows and the movies, and then everything else that they do will have an Elseworlds label on it instead. So we may not necessarily see an end of the Tomorrowverse necessarily, but I mean, the thing with animation is you have to start these things like years in advance almost.
Yeah, and Battle of the Super Sons is not Tomorrowverse. That's another thing to keep in mind with the animated features. Even before they started the Tomorrowverse, you would have like Flashpoint, Justice League War, Throne of Atlantis, all of these, but in between them you would get Red Sun Superman or Batman Hush that were not part of the connected universe. So they're still doing one-offs.
Right, and we get the next one is The Doom That Came to Gotham is the next one that they're doing.
Yeah, which is an Elseworld title as well. The next animated feature won't be Tomorrowverse. That's literally an Elseworld book that Mignola did, the creator of Hellboy. Yeah. So hopefully that we get a lot of crazy mystical stuff in there, supernatural tones, and hopefully they do it in the art style of Mignola, because that's one of the cool things about the DC animated stuff, especially the early stuff before they did Flashpoint Paradox and Justice League War and started connecting it all. If they did a story, it was an adaptation of a comic run, and they would do it in the art style of whatever artist was working on that run. Like Superman, Batman, Public Enemies looked like Ed McGuinness art. Superman, Batman, Apocalypse looked like Michael Turner. All-Star Superman looked like Quietly, and New Frontier looked like Darwin Cook, and that was phenomenal. And when they hit Paradox and War, they kept the same art, so that it was connected. With Battle of the Super Sons, that was the first one that they did the computer art with, right, Paul?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that was CG art, but they did go over it to make it look like animation colors. It doesn't look like you're watching like Coco Melon or something. I don't know.
That art did. I had to get used to that art at first, but it did grow on me during that movie. So that computer animated art for the Super Sons.
Yeah, the Jon Stewart one, that one definitely threw me for a loop as well. Because when we get into there, like there's a Justice League and there's a huge cast of characters that just make cameos and stuff. And like, oh, we have a Watchtower now. We have a team now. These people have all got together. They've met. And all that, I just figured we just have to assume it. That's how it all got there. Again, that's stuff like that we've seen the origin told. We know the history, so they just didn't want to tread over that same stuff, Well, we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Pop says New Frontier was the best. I do not disagree with that. That was a damn good movie.
Yeah, I didn't know that this was all part of the Tomorrowverse until you told me, and then I went back and I didn't watch that Man of Tomorrow one, and I seen that was the start of the Tomorrowverse. So I watched that recently. I absolutely love that one too. Yeah, Lobo was pretty freaking sick in that.
You keep Coco Melon out your mouth. All right, guys. We've covered it. What else we got, TM?
Well, we got the ending of that. The ending that I did not know. Like I kind of figured they were either dead or got captured, and then you brought up another point that I had no idea because I've never read the book.
Well, we're going to bring up the obvious point first before we go into my speculation on like bigger things to come. But we do have Batman, the Doom that came to Gotham is the next one. But the next Tomorrowverse installment we have is Justice League War World. And that is not based on Philip Kennedy Johnson's most recent War World saga. It's just the coming of Mongol and his weaponized planet called War World, where he tends to bring people to battle arena style there. And what it looks like is and the post-credit scene, Supergirl is talking to her cousin on the phone, and him and Batman are inspecting this crater in the ground that's still smoking red hot, trying to figure out what it is. They're holding some readings up to it. And while they're standing there, they see a light in the sky, and a blue beam comes down and hits them. And it looks like it vaporizes them, leaving a small crater where they once stood. And that's where it ends. So it looks like they got teleported to War World is all that I can assume, that we're starting to get that proper connectivity that we haven't necessarily had before, where they're just taking one and leading us to the next one to really tie them together. Brother John says, New Frontier's next level. I rewatched that so many times. Yeah, it was really good. Esteban, yeah, the Justice Society was good to me. I just wish we could see more of those characters animated. Yeah, that was probably my favorite one. And the Commandy, if you buy them on disc, you get the animated showcases with a lot of them. And there's a Commandy animated showcase that gives context to Commandy, who was talking to reporter Clark on Earth 2. I really want to see the new Gotham by Gaslight sequel coming out. It looks good. I haven't seen a Gotham by Gaslight sequel. Are you referring to the Doom? You might be referring to the Doom that came to Gotham, which is the next. There's a trailer out for the Doom that came to Gotham. It's just a standalone. Though it looks like in some designs it could be connected. It is its own thing. But yeah, now my big speculation about the end of that is those craters. It gives us an overhead shot of those craters. Now, it's a big circle and then a little circle. Those craters were created by a blue beam of light, energy that came down. In this movie, the whole MacGuffin was this machine called the Miracle Machine that could just mess with the fabric of reality. And Brainiac 5 and Supergirl had to end up putting it into a different reality to get it out of ours so that our reality would be safe. Now, those craters was a big circle and a little circle, and I'd be damned if it didn't look just like Dr. Manhattan's hydrogen symbol on his head. And it was a blue beam of light that brought it down. That's one thing that they haven't touched in these animated movies, is bringing in the Watchmen universe. Knowing that Miracle Machine went to an alternate reality, I'm like connecting all these dots, and I'm always trying to connect dots back to Dr. Manhattan. That's just my thing. But I'm seeing like that could have been just a slick little Easter egg. It could have been something fun they were doing on the writing end, or they could be building into like a Doomsday Clock level event in these things to come. Don't know. Like if they get to War World and Mongo's like, "How did y'all get here?" Perfect. That would be dope. That would be the move right there. Because you have to assume if that was Mongol teleporting to War World, who was in the big crater? Who did he take first?
Right.
He took Batman and Superman in a little crater. Why was there a giant crater? So, what, did he take a school bus first? He wanted a school bus, then he wanted...
No, he might have wanted some kids to fight.
Weirder things have happened. They should have done it like the comics and had Matter Eater Lad eat the Miracle Machine. Yeah, that would have been funny.
Didn't you like Arm Fall Off Boy?
Arm Fall Off Man now.
Yeah. And Duplicate Girl.
Right. The Chiefs just won, by the way.
Awesome. That means our friends will be happy. I really want to see the new Gotham.
Except for Adam. Except for Durs.
Oh, yeah. Durs.
Everybody check on Durs. Make sure he's okay. Boy, that was a good game. I'm glad that all my friends' team won, whoever you are, including you, Durs. I'm glad your team won in spirit. We have that's pretty much going to cap it off for tonight. Be sure to check out Sector 2815, 10 a.m. tomorrow. I've got a special video coming out tomorrow with a very, very rare book that entered the collection. Super excited about it. I had fun making this video as well. Give it a watch if you you got that notification bell on. I'd appreciate some feedback on it. Tim, what do you got going on, man? Tomorrow's Monday. You gonna go between the lines?
Yep, over on Roscoe's channel for Between the Lines, we have Esvon82 joining us. The theme is the Spider-Punk universe. So any character from the Spider-Punk universe, you can draw from home. Send them to me on Instagram, and I'll show them off. It's going to be a fun time with Esvon. Dropped a video earlier today with what I got from Chop and Drop. Got a lot of DC goodness. And then this Wednesday for Chatting with the Comic Community is K-Pop Junkie. And 2 weeks prior to that, after that, will be Paul Cook.
That guy?
That guy, which is a very informational type of video. You definitely want to check that out.
And don't forget, this week is also Guess This Key on Wednesday as well.
Oh, snap. I hope my mail shows up in time. If not, oh well, I'll figure something out. Gotham by Gaslight has Dick Van Dyke levels of accents. Yeah, Loki, if y'all want to hear us break down the Flash stuff and go into some detail on that, be sure to check out the rewind because we brought pictures and Batman is going gray and blue, baby. I can't wait. Like, this is just, I have outside of YouTube people, like I just checked my phone. My buddy Brent has already messaged me. My oldest has messaged me. My brother has messaged me. People are watching the trailer and calling me and trying to get hold of me.
I do got a question about why is one of the Barry Allen's electricity around him blue? Is that just
the one that's blue is the one from the Flashpoint universe. The main universe Barry is yellow. So, for continuity purposes, knowing that Snyder went with the blue lightning, maybe they're just going to have it as something like that was his erratic lightning, and as it's developed, his connection to the Speed Force is stronger. Maybe he's going yellow. So I don't know. Maybe they'll do that, which would explain why this younger, less experienced Barry that we're going to see have his powers activated in the film. Maybe that's why he's blue. He's in that younger, erratic stage. We'll see. Because we do have a refined Flash in this one. Because like we mentioned, those comics bridge the gap. As well as that trailer, there's a scene where our Barry goes flying through the air with just like a lightning hammer come down on the ground and just poof. So he's doing some Flash tricks. If he doesn't do the arm tornado, I'm going to be pissed.
And if you guys need your Flash fix, the Flash on the CW just came back every Tuesday.
I thought they just had the series finale. I thought it's over.
No, they just started with episode. It is the season finale. Like, this is going to be the last season, but they only dropped the first episode, and they got a new Captain Boomerang, and the big villain of the season has been revealed at the end of episode 1.
I'm going to be checking you guys more often. I love the Legion of Comics channel so far. You have some great people. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. And also, I really feel like if you enjoy DC Comics, this is the channel for you. There's just no other channel out there that's got like the passion to do the DC stuff like this one is. Paul, this is where we do our lives. I do recorded stuff over there, and you do lives over here. This is obviously Paul's channel. He's here, but he has a channel. We do the DC Comic Deep Dive once a week that gets loaded on Mondays at 10 o'clock. But the live chat stuff we typically do over here. We do have special occasions over on Paul's channel. Like the DC Deep Dive, the season finales for those we do live, which we established that with season 1.
I was just kidding. I'm a DC fan, and I come to your channel for stuff too. So I was like,
yeah. But I've been doing DC heavy stuff since I started YouTube, and it seems like I didn't realize when I jumped on here to find a community to hang out with that it was so scarce, But I have a feeling that as long as the needle keeps moving forward, you're going to see a lot more people doing DC content, and the classic formula of something getting announced and all these lifelong fans coming out of the woodworks is going to happen. But I look forward to it. I look forward to having more people to talk to with this stuff, and I don't know. But I definitely appreciate it. I'm so behind on the CW right now. I dropped off of it outside of Superman. I'm waiting until Superman and Gotham Knights get canceled and catch up that way. So I don't wait on Superman. That is God, some of the best television I've seen in a long time. I'm pumped for Superman and Lois to come back. Stargirl was phenomenal. That did start on the DC Universe streaming app, but you have 3 solid seasons and a proper ending. It's just like that was damn good. Damn good. And this Superman and Lois show is next level good. But
did they ever recast Jonathan Kent?
Yeah.
Yep.
Actors in there. It's already filmed. The whole season's not done being filmed, but they film. They stay at like half a season ahead as it releases, I think, because they did gaps in that last season, but that last season had also filming hiccups and restrictions because of the current climate of the world at the time. But we'll see. I'm pumped for it. That finale to season 2, when Superman came in with that super punch to set the world straight, literally punched the world back out of our reality. It was nuts.
Oh, I forget that's how it ended. Oh yeah, I'm super excited for the new season now.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens.
And I don't know if they were sure if they were getting renewed because they didn't give us a big stinger. We have no idea who our big villain's going to be. We know there'll be a side story with Diggle going through Argus about who killed John Henry Irons in our world, and they already name-dropped Mannheim of Intergang. So we know there'll be an Intergang side story, but who's going to be the big Superman bad guy, having had, Bizarro in that last season, done so well. It was wild. Yeah, CW versus is definitely wrapping up. There's no point of catching it when it's going on, according to me. Yeah, that I don't blame you. The Superman show, I watched that with the wife and the kids, and we all get hyped for that. That's the only one. I kept up with Stargirl since it started, and I kept up with Superman since it started. I gave up on all the other CW stuff until Stargirl came over to CW. I even dropped Titans, man. I'm not even keeping up with this season over on HBO Max. That show's just
that's all right. There is 2 shows, the CW shows, like you mentioned one that Esteban should watch, like Stargirl being one of them, and Superman and Lois being the other. They're self-contained. They're not connected with like they were at one point, but they feel self-contained more than the Flash and that. So
yeah, so Superman and Lois is not part of the Arrowverse. Yeah, not part of this. Is not though it's the same actor. This is its own world. There's Superman's like the only super like meta on it. There's no Flash on this world. There's no other these people in this world. But yeah, which was a smart move. And they changed the whole film style. The cinematography is different. The lighting's different. It's its own thing, not bogged down by the other stuff. But Gotham, what's it called? Gotham Knights. Is that the name of the new one?
Mm-hmm.
The full trailer. Yeah, that's about to be coming out. They dropped a full trailer for it. Joker's daughter. There's a new Robin. I'm wondering if it's going to be Carrie, a younger female. Is going to be a Robin popping up after the death of Bruce Wayne. Batman's son. They haven't named him. I haven't heard them say Damian in the trailers. Does anyone know if it's meant to be Damian?
I don't know.
It probably won't be now because of the whole Damian announcements from DCU.
I just know that it actually premieres right after the season premiere of Superman and Lois in March. It's right after it.
When does the premiere? Is it? How long do we have to wait?
March 15th or something like that, I think.
I'll be honest with you. I'm definitely going to check out that first episode. I hope that it really seems outside of my wheelhouse. It seems very, very outside of my wheelhouse in terms of how offbeat it is. You know what I mean? How it's just like there's no like actual comic stuff at all. It seems completely just washed in CW. I don't know. I was excited for them to do Naomi, and that was probably the worst television that's ever been recorded.
That was hard to get through.
Yeah, it was big bad. Big bad. Fell off of Batgirl about the same time I fell off of everything. Like I didn't even make it through all of season 1. I'm like, no, I'm not feeling it. I did see where they have the actress who plays Batwoman now is playing Red Death in this season of The Flash, which is super dope. You get Red Death in there.
That's who the big bad is. They revealed that character at the end of the episode 1. Not fully, but enough. Give us an idea.
I'm for Gotham Knights right now. Stephanie Brown is in it. Julia Dent, Cullen Rowe, and Harper Rowe. Turner Hayes looks like the name of the character that's Bruce's son. Carrie Kelly is confirmed, so that is Carrie. Harvey Dent Two-Face is in it, so that looks like it's going to be one of the villains.
So I'm guessing that Dent, the kid that Dent is going to be Harvey Dent's son.
Daughter, Julia Dent.
Oh, Julia. Okay.
Yeah,
Dula Dent actually played in the 70s. Dula Dent was supposedly the Joker's daughter. She was in the Teen Titans comic book in the 70s.
Okay.
As the Joker's daughter.
Crystal Brown, which could be a play on Stephanie Brown. Stephanie Brown is in it. So, yeah. So, we have a couple of actual characters. Lincoln March, Brody March, Rebecca March, Crystal Brown, Harper, and
Stephanie Brown would be the new Batgirl in it, wouldn't it? Wouldn't she?
Yes. Spoiler.
Spoiler, yeah.
So, Oscar Morgan is playing Turner Hayes, Bruce Wayne's adopted son.
So just a new character altogether.
I think TM hit the nail on the head. Like, CW is not being given permission to use these characters. You know that DC has held Bruce Wayne real close to the vest when it came to CW. Like, no, because Bruce Wayne's always present in some other media. Like, where they let him rock with Superman though, so I was happy with that. Dude, I've even been going back watching the Adventures of Lois and Clark. I love that show. That show is fantastic. I don't hear what no one says. And if you watch it on a 4K TV and turn on your AutoMotion Plus, it looks new. It looks great.
I've been rewatching Smallville.
Was there a football game today? I don't think so. I don't think there was. I watch all the CW stuff and love it. Naomi skateboarding in the same spot where Dr. Manhattan died in Decatur was definitely distracting. The whole show was distracting because it was terrible. He was the Joker's daughter and was even Harvey Dent's daughter in the comics at one point. Yeah. So it should be interesting. You know, I don't know. I'm on the fence, but I'm definitely going to watch it. You can make a good show out of it. I liked Birds of Prey, despite Paul not liking it. Y'all's interview, didn't you say that was a rough one for you?
Yeah, I didn't really like Birds of Prey.
They kept doing like the repetitive same action scene with like the little. You could tell like with the Matrix, like really inspired the one wire move that they did for the fight scenes over and over, like the slow mo backflip kick, so that her trench coat could come out. You know what always messed me up is the opening of the scene when you have Alfred talking and they show Catwoman in Michelle Pfeiffer's suit, but with her blonde hair all hanging out the bottom, all messy. I'm like, that's not right. It just looked weird. But yeah, I enjoyed that show. I don't know why. Just one season, one and done. Did you ever watch Witchblade that came out around the same time? There's one season of Witchblade too. She had like the metal thing on her arm. Yeah, another bad one. I guess that's going to do it for tonight, guys. We're hitting that 2 hour mark. I appreciate y'all hopping on. TM, thank you for the last minute hop on there, buddy. I definitely wanted to hear your thoughts on some of this stuff for sure. I hope everybody takes the time to go subscribe to TM Nerdy and be sure, as always, to subscribe to Sector 2815 and don't miss the deep dive tomorrow. And Guess That Key live this Wednesday night. It's going to be a blast. I'll be on there as usual. And who else is coming?
Alan Rue, the Comic Viking, and I believe we will have Adam Durs if he can get him, if he can compose himself.
He's going to get roasted so bad in the comments about this Super Bowl. Oh man, I feel for him. Oh man. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody coming. Don't forget to check out that video tomorrow. And if you haven't seen, I've been putting up a lot of shorts now, which has been fun. So check those out. I've been putting toy content over there, having a lot of fun doing that. And until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.